Yes, got the CX-9 back. 2016 Mazda CX-9, 109,000 miles, almost 10 years old now, but still running great. Once again, so if you're not a regular viewer of my videos, well, a couple months ago I did a video on what to watch for and explained what the coolant leak issue is on the 2.5 liter turbo Mazda engines, and this is like 2016 to 2020s, and it's basically the head can crack because the turbo is hanging off the back of the head, and whatever, it can crack. And they call it a coolant leak issue because coolant, you'll see it leaking off down the back of the engine. And I just happened to catch it right as it started because I was going to do an oil change. All right, I don't want to get too much into review of videos I've already done. So in the description, there's a video for what to look for, so what to watch in case yours experienced this issue, as well as what Mazda is doing about it, extending the warranty, etc. And then last week I did a video because, well, it was in the shop because I experienced it. All right, and gave some information there. So, without repeating all of that information, I have gotten it back, and I want to thank Nelson Mazda because they did a great job. They earned my business. Really happy with them. And corporate Mazda because they owned it. They owned it, unlike some other manufacturers who aren't. I'm not going to name names. See previous videos. And so anyway, no, Mazda owned it. They covered it, and we'll get into what they did here in a minute. So total time from when I dropped it off to when I picked it up, 3 weeks. Total time. It was actually almost 2 weeks for Mazda to approve the warranty coverage, because they gotta, they gotta actually verify that you didn't abuse the engine and all that, and make sure that it is in fact the head's cracked on the back where the turbo is. That they can't. They're not gonna just fix it because you didn't maintain your vehicle. So fully get it, and they are owning it. Then it took 1 week for the Nelson Mazda to actually do the repair. So on mine, they just replaced the head. The engine was fine. It was still running great when I dropped it off. The coolant had leaked out the crack at the back of the head, not into the engine. There wasn't coolant in the oil or anything, so it didn't wipe the cylinders and rings and all that. If yours has gone that far, well, you're gonna have to have the whole engine replaced. But it actually takes about the same amount of time because they got to pull the engine to do either one. So this is what your engine looks like with the beauty cover off of it. To hide the ugliness. All right. So your turbo is there in the back, and I don't have enough hands here. So this is just a 4-cylinder turbo. So there's your turbo right there in the back, hanging off the back of the head. So this is a cover that bolts onto the head. Your exhaust is here, your intake is on this side, and it will crack on the back if it cracks. Now, per my source and some other research I've done, I believe, this is purely my guess, it's less than 1% of the engines having the issue. So odds are you won't have the issue, but it's if you talk about it, you'll jinx yourself. Anywho, so that's where the turbo is, and it'll start leaking down, and your coolant level will drop. And I have checked all the fluids and everything. I'm making sure everything is good. I'm making sure there's no leaks or anything like that. There were no check engine lights or anything. Everything has worked since picking it up. It's running great. It's actually running really well. And what's funny is I was having a slight turbo noise, which is, there's a rod that is on the turbo that can start vibrating and creating a little noise, and I was having that. I no longer have that, so that got fixed during this process. Let's take a quick look at the paperwork. All right, hopefully I am not showing personally identifiable information. Okay, so here we go. Customer states, went to change the oil and found oil was dripping from the back of the side of the engine. Concerned the cracked head issues are some having. Please check and advise. Verified customer concerns of coolant leak at the back of the engine. Found cylinder head to be cracked and leaking coolant and oil at exhaust. Recommend replacing cylinder head assembly. Okay, so here's what they did. The cylinder head, replaced it under warranty. There's gaskets, hose, flange, bolts, pins, nuts, clips, and seals. So as I said, they have to pull the engine to do this. It's just easier than doing it in the vehicle. So we got oil washers, flange studs, plugs. Okay, oil, 6 quarts of their 530 super premium motor oil, and I did check, it definitely does not have royal purple in it. And ATF, they have to drain some of the transmission fluid. When you pull the engine, you pull the transmission with it or drop it. You got some gear oil, since they have to do some work with things that are connected to the transmission. And Mazda coolant, 3 gallons. I'm guessing that that's gallons. So they got to replace your coolant also. Replace cylinder head assembly per MGSS, and this is your CSP11 guidelines. Those are the things that address this issue. Oil and coolant leaks are no longer present, 11.3 hours. And they do their full circle inspection and cylinder head assembly, crack, leaking oil. So I did have them do some other things like the 4-wheel alignment and tune up. I had them replace the spark plugs. And so $607 is what I paid. Now here's the key thing. I saw the paperwork. I had to sign the paperwork of the cost that it was if the warranty hadn't covered it. So I got to see the prices. It wasn't $607, it was $5,500 and something dollars. So that's what it would have cost me had Mazda not honored the warranty. So I'm super happy they did. Now, one thing you did not see on there is a new oil filter. So I'm guessing that they did not replace the oil filter, and I will go ahead and replace that oil filter myself because I have one, because I was going to change the oil when I saw the oil and coolant leaking down the back of the engine. All right, so if you have yours done, you may want to go ahead and tell them, hey, put a new filter on it while you're changing the oil. All right, so this is just a quick video on my experience with it. And again, Mazda owned it, the dealership owned it, which is great, and it's running great. So I'm really happy, and now I'm not in any sort of rush to trade it in on maybe that new CX-5 they're coming out with. Anyway, all right, so if you've had this experience, let us know how it went with you, you know, how long it took and that type of thing. And I do appreciate y'all watching. Now it's time for the verse of the video. Proverbs 14:12. There is a way which seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death. All right. Proverbs written by Solomon, King David's son, who was blessed with wisdom from God, and it is truly full of wisdom. I do suggest that you read Proverbs, even if you're not a Christian, have no interest in being a Christian. Read Proverbs because it is full of wisdom and you will learn a lot. All right, I hope this video was helpful. If so, please like, subscribe, comment, and let me know your experience if you've run into this issue. And God bless.